Hello, Bronx Middle School Math. We are on lesson 9 and we are continuing to build the foundation of multiplying decimals. And we want to use what we know about multiplying whole numbers. So a whole number would be like 30, 20, 2. A decimal number would be 2/10 or 200ths. We could see those down here. So we want to use what we know about multiplying whole numbers and kind of manipulate them to make multiplying with decimals more efficient, easier. So let's begin. I know that 30 times 2 is 60. That's pretty simple. So I'm going to go just write 60. That was a terrible zero. Okay. Now, when I go from 2 to 20, I am increasing in place value. When I increase in place value, that's multiplying by 10. So factor 1, we have 30. And in here, let me write in problem A, B, and C. In problem A, B, and C, factor 1 is 30 all 3 times. That does not change. Factor 1 is consistent. What changes is factor 2. So we are looking at the relationship between factor 2 and A, B, and C and see how it affects the product, our answer. Remember, when we multiply two numbers, we call them factors, factor 1 and factor 2. The answer is the product. Those were vocab words that we learned in Unit 1. So in B, we start off with 2. And from 2 to 20, we multiply by 10. So my product should do the same thing. 60, I'm going to multiply it by 10. And our product is going to be 600. Well, now let's do B to C. When I go from 2 to 2/10, how do I get there? What operation do I do? Well, I am decreasing in place value. So I am dividing by 10. And you know what? My product is going to do the same thing. When one of my factors decreases by a power of 10, a product is going to do the same thing. So 60 divided by 10 is going to be 6. That's our number line. That's how we can see how the relationship between a factor and product relate. Now let's keep going. I have 2/10 in C. Let's see what it does to D. 2/10 to 200ths, I would divide by 10. In my product, you know it does the same thing. So that should turn into 6/10. But let's say that I went from 30 times 20 equals 600, and I just jumped straight to 30 times 200ths. What was the change? How many place values did I change to go from 20 to 2/10 and 600 to 6/10? Oh, I'm sorry. This is 200s. My bad. I'm sorry, y'all. How many did I change? Well, let's look. So that's our decimal point. And if I want to become 2 hundredths. Am I going to move my decimal point to the right or to the left? That's a pretty simple question, and I bet you're offended that I asked. We are definitely going to go to the left. So let's see how many times we have to move our decimal point. 1, 2, 3. I had to move my decimal point 3 place values. And I know it's 1,000 because looky there, 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay, well, let's do the same with 600 and get it to 6/10. So to get it to 6/10, I need to move my decimal point 1, 2, 3. There it is. Divided by 1,000. And we decrease 3 place values. So we can see from A, B, C, and D, we divide by 10 and we decrease 1 place value each time. But now let's talk about the fun stuff. Money, money, money. So what is the equivalent form of a penny? Well, remember, for $1, we need 100 pennies. Excuse me. 100 pennies. So if I have 1 penny, that's 1 out of 100 that I need to make $1. That's 1/100th. The dollar form, so if you buy something that's worth 1 penny on the receipt, you're going to see this. $0, 0.10, 1 penny. So one penny, 1 cent. That is how you would say this, 1 cent. Scholars, please note the dollar sign always goes in front of the number. When we are talking about money, the dollar sign goes in front. If you buy something and it is $12, you are going to do this, $12. If you buy something and it is $27.13, the dollar sign always goes in front of the number, in front of the dollar amount. Do not do this. No, 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 no. That is incorrect. Now, I'm not going to lie. In other countries, they do put their currency symbol behind the dollar amount. But in the United States, we put the dollar sign in front of the amount. So I'm not speaking in absolutes and saying everyone in the world does this. I'm not, no. But this is how we do it in the United States. But hey, let's be real. We do a lot of things that the rest of the world does not do. Like, let's talk about feet. Let's talk about miles. Let's talk about what is it, daylight savings. We do a lot of things that the rest of the world doesn't do, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do these days, I guess. I'm preparing y'all for the real world to get a job. All right. So what is a nickel? How much is a nickel worth? Okay, I know it's worth 5 cents. Now, okay, back to that topic. The cent symbol goes after the amount. And that's just if I'm talking about cents. But if I was putting it in the form of dollars, it would be this. So 5 cents or 5 cents. I know it seems silly and confusing, and you're like, why? Why the United States? Why? But hey, if that's our biggest problem, we're blessed. If that's our biggest problem today, for today, we're doing pretty good. Okay. So 5 cents. How many do we need to make a dollar? We need 20 nickels to make $1. How do I know this? Well, a nickel is worth 5 cents, and 5 times 20 equals 100. So if I were to do it would equal $1. So one nickel, that's 1 out of 20. $0.05. A dime. Okay, how many dimes are in a dollar? $1 equals 10 dimes. So if I have one dime, I have 1/10 of a dollar. Terrible zero. The decimal form of that would be here, 10 cents. But here's a trick situation to help us out or to give us an idea. One nickel. So let's add these. If I add these, I would have 2 nickels. And then I would have 10 cents. So if you're at the store and they give you change and they hand you 2 nickels, I bet you'd be confused. You would probably be thinking, just give me 1 dime. Because 2 nickels, that is the same as 1 dime. A quarter. These are fun. I love quarters. Growing up, I would always keep a jar full of coins, and every year I would go to the bank, get the rolly paper things, and roll them. And okay, the reason why I do that is because instead of the machine, is because all the machines in my town, you had to pay 13% of whatever you cashed in, whatever the amount that you converted from coins to dollars, you had to pay 13%. I was like, I am not paying 13%. I will gladly spend an hour counting and rolling up these coins. But 25 cents were always quarters were the most fun to roll up. So how many quarters are in a dollar? 4 quarters are in $1. How do I know that? Well, do you remember quarts in conversion? Quarts? There are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. Okay, well, conversions, that's not really interesting to me. How can I remember how many quarters are in a dollar? How many quarters are in a basketball game? 4. We have 4 quarters. Okay, well, how many quarters are in a football game? 4. You have 2 quarters, halftime. 2 quarters, celebration. 4 quarters. So, if I have 1 quarter, I have 1/4 of a dollar. That would be, boom, written like this. So half a dollar, what would be half a dollar? Well, I know half, the fraction is that, but $1 is written like this. So what would be half of that? Half a dollar would be written like this. What could get us there? Well, 2 quarters could get us there. Because let's look at that. 1 quarter is 25 cents. So if we add 2 quarters, that gives us 50 cents. Okay. Well, what about dimes? Well, that's a dime. So I would have to add that 5 times. Whoop. And when you add 5 dimes, you get 50 cents. What about nickels? Well, 1 nickel is 5 cents. I would have to add that 10 times. Instead of adding nickels over 10 times like how we did with dimes, but dimes we only did 5, let's just multiply it because that's a power of 10. So that's easy. So I'm going to increase one place value. Boom. So 10 nickels equals 50 cents. Half a dollar. We already went over this. The decimal equivalent of $1, like that. $2. All right, let's read this problem and go through it. So we are adding here. So think, what is the decimal representation of a dime? We know that, we just did it. We need 10 dimes to make $1, but it says a dime. So that means one. One dime would be 1/10, and that equals 1/10. How many dimes does Miss Ramos have? Well, the problem tells us 10 dimes. And then it says that Miss Tharp, that's me, I give her 4 more dimes. So she now has 14 dimes. What is the game plan? We are going to multiply 1/10 by 14 because this is how much one dime is worth. But I have, or Ms. Ramos has 14 of those. Ms. Ramos has 14 of these. So when we multiply that, we are going to figure out the total amount of her dimes in dollars. So how much money does she have? We want to know how much money does she have if she has 14 dimes. So when I multiply, a lot of scholars would have done this. How much money does she have? Okay, that's good. Call it a day. No, 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 no. Come back. Let's work it out. We got to walk through this together, y'all. Be slow. There is no rush to get things right. So, since do you remember in previous number lines when we multiplied by 1/10, what happens to the place value? We said that that would be the same as dividing by 10. When we multiply by a number less than 1, that would be the same as dividing by the whole number, by the whole number version or the reciprocal. So 14 times 1/10 is the same as 14 divided by 10. So let's work that out and see what would happen. When I'm dividing by 10, I'm decreasing one place value. So 14, I'm decreasing one place value. Am I going to move my decimal point over here? No, because that would make it 140. That's not decreasing. I'm going to move it, boom. That's where I'm going to move it. So 14 dimes equals $1.40. I will say it again. 14 dimes equals $1.40. All right. Miss Garcia has 20 quarters and finds 2 dimes on her way home. How much money does she have? Okay, let's start over here. What is the decimal representation of a dime? So remember, we just did this on the previous question. One dime is written like this because you need 10 dimes to make $1. So if you have one, you have 1 out of 10, which equals 1/10. For a quarter, you need 4 to make $1. So if you have one, you have 1/4. This is a quarter. 25 cents, 10 cents is a dime. All right. How many dimes does Miss Garcia have? Well, the question tells us she finds 2 on her way home. 2 dimes. How many quarters? It says she has 20 quarters. That's a lot of change to be carrying around. Shit. Oh, I almost wrote dimes. I bet her pockets are jingling, moving around. Quarters. All right. So, what are we going to be doing here? What is our game plan? We are trying to figure out the total amount of money that she has. We are going to be adding 20 quarters with 2 dimes. And we are figuring out how much money is that. 20 quarters and 2 dimes. How many dollars is that? Well, let's figure out how many dollars are in 20 quarters. We said that 1 quarter equals this, but because you need 4 and $1. So you need 4 quarters to make $1, but Ms. Garcia has 20. She doesn't have 1, she has 20. So that would be, to figure this out, we are going to do 20 divided by 4. So 4 times what equals 20? 5. Scholars, if you were not able to solve this quickly, if you were not able to solve this part quickly, I highly recommend that you go and work on your timetables. Do some flashcards. It is no shame in getting some practice in with our timetables. So she has $5 in quarters. All right. Now let's go to 2 dimes. Well, 1 dime is 1 out of 10 because you need 10 to make $1. But Miss Garcia, she found 2 dimes. So she has 2/10. So we have 2 divided by 10. Y'all know the drill. We are dividing by 10. So that decimal point goes right here. Okay, so she has $5 in quarters and 20 cents in dimes. I need to add those together. So let's go over here. $5 plus 20 cents. And when we add those together, we are going to get $5.20. Not bad, Miss Ramos. I mean, Garcia. Not bad, Miss Garcia. All right. I have this great PDF pulled up. And this gives us a visual representation. 1 penny. This is just showing us the front and back, but let's pretend that it's just, that way we don't get confused thinking, oh, 2 dimes. No, we're just talking about 1 penny, 1 nickel, 1 dime. And remember, size has nothing to do with it. Because look, the dime is smaller than the nickel, but it's worth more. So we need, we need 100 pennies to make $1. We need 20 nickels to make $1. We need 10 dimes to make $1. We need 4 quarters to make $1. And then this one is a dollar coin. So that's already, you need 1 to make $1. You don't see these too often anymore. But go ahead, pause the screen, read through this if you have any more questions. Okay, let's do an explore problem. What is the total amount of money? So let's read this receipt here. We see it has $9, half dollars 0, quarters 51, dimes 104, nickels 208, and pennies 576. So let's write all this down over here. So dollars, it has $9, 0, quarters 51. Wow, and I thought Ms. Garcia was doing good with 20. Dimes 104, nickels 208, pennies 576. But let's figure out, so $1, all we have to do is multiply that by 1, and we will figure out how many dollars that is. And that's 9. So there's no half dollars, so we don't need to worry about that. For quarters, remember, you need 4 quarters to make $1. But there are 51 quarters. So what we are going to be doing is 51 divided by 4. Or what we can do is 51 times Why did I do that? How did I know that I could do that? Well, remember, a quarter, 1 quarter is 1/4, which equals. So that would be the same thing as doing 51 times 1/4. Let's move on to dimes. I want to get all these game planned calculations ready, and then we can go and do the math next. Dimes. Okay, so 10 dimes makes $1. But we have 104 over 10. So we are going to be doing 104 divided by 10. And that will tell us how many dollars. Okay, nickels. There are 20 nickels is $1. But we have 208. So we are going to be doing 208 divided by 20. Now remember, let's go over here and do what we did. So there are 10 dimes in $1. So if I have one dime, I have 1 out of 10, which one dime equals 1/10. For nickels, there are 20 nickels in $1, which means the decimal version of that would be this, 5/100. So let me go back. I'm sorry, I should have done this before when we were on dimes. I am trying to make a nice line here, and I can't seem to get things going. Oh my gosh, y'all, we are struggling. All I want to do is make a simple line. Good thing I teach math and not art. I can't even make a line. Okay, there we go. Learned my lesson. I'll do it first. Okay, there we go. Now let's go on to pennies. There are 100 pennies in $1. So if you have one penny, you have 1 out of 100, and the decimal version of that would be 1/100. So remember, 100 pennies, and oh, messed up our organization that we had. We had a nice little system going. So she has 576 out of 100. So what we can do is 576 divided by 100, or we could do 576 times 1 out of 100, 576 times 100. These are the same. So take a look at these values and see if you understand what we did and why we did it. All right, so let's go on and start doing some math. Let's begin with the quarters because the math for the dollars is done. We have $9. Okay, so let's go into quarters. We are going to be dividing 51 by 4 or multiplying 51 by 25/100. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do both to show you different ways. So when dividing, we went over this in Unit 1B, but you can divide any way that you're comfortable with. This is what you're going to be doing later, and especially in 6th grade. But I want to get you used to and comfortable with this version. So when doing this is the same thing as multiplying up. I am just changing my organization. That's all I'm doing. I'm just changing my organization, my layout. So I'm going to make an estimation. How many times, I'm asking myself, how many times does 4 go into 51? Well, that could be a tough, calculation. So I'm going to do friendly numbers. And the one that gets me the closest to 51 without going over would be 10. So I'm going to do 10 groups of 4, which is going to get me 40. I'm going to subtract those values, and I'm left with 11. Now I am asking myself, how many times does 4 go into 11? Well, I know 2 times 4 equals 8. I'm going to subtract those values, and I have 3 left over. Is that enough for 4 to go into? It's not, because 4 is greater than 3. So far, we have 12. So that would be, if we did 12 times 4, that would equal 48 quarters. So that's telling me $12. I don't know why 112. That's telling me $12. What am I going to do with that 3 left over? That's telling me that I have $12 and 3 quarters left over. Well, how much is 3 quarters worth? Well, 1 quarter is 25, 25, 25. So I could just add this up to find the value of the remaining 3 quarters. 5, 10, 15, 2, 4, 6, 75 hundredths. So in quarters, she has, I'll put this over here, $12.75. But what if I didn't want to do that? What could I do? Well, since 4 is bigger than 3, what we could do is, now this is a bit strange, but stay with me. I could put a decimal, and when I do that, I can put a 0 there. So now I'm asking myself, how many times does 4 go into 30? And the answer would be 7, because 7 times 4 equals 28. And I'm left with 2. Okay, well, since we're in that decimal, I can put another 0. So how many times does 4 go into 20? and that's 5. So what you are going to do is add the parts above the decimal, and we're going to get 12 and 75 hundredths. But don't add 7 and 5. Just take them as they are and translate them. Okay, that's how you do the division method. But let's go over here and do the multiplication method. So remember our rules when we are multiplying decimals. Scale up to friendly place value. Multiply. And then scale to original place value. So let's go do that right now. Pause the video and do that yourself. And when you're ready, press start and see if you got the correct answers. Okay, let's see how you did. So we are doing 51 times 25 hundredths. 51 times 25 hundredths. Well, 51 is already in a friendly place value, so I don't have to do any work there. But 25 hundredths, I don't want to multiply decimals. I don't want to deal with that today. It's a Saturday. I just want to relax. So I need to move that decimal to make 25 hundredths into 25. So that's going to be 1, 2. I'm going to multiply that by 2 place values. I need to increase that by 2 place values, which would be multiplying by 100. So now I have 51 times 25. Y'all know how to do this. You can do standard algorithm, or you can do an array. I do not care. Just show your work. Let's do the standard algorithm to get some practice. 5 times 1 equals 5. 5 times 5 equals 25. Now we're going to move on to the 2. Since we are in the tens place, we are going to put a 0 here as a placeholder. I'm going to move this 25 so that I do not confuse myself. There we go. So now we're doing 1 times 2, which equals 2. Now we're going to do 2 times 5, which equals 10. We add those bad boys together, and we get 5, 7. And our answer equals 1,275. Am I done? No, because I multiplied by 100 to get it to a friendly place value. So now I need to do the opposite. And I need to divide by 100. So when I do that, the decimal point is here. We move it 1, 2. And our final answer is 12 and 75 hundredths. So 51 quarters equals $12.75. Now let's go to dimes. She has 104 dimes. So we're doing 104 divided by 10. Y'all, that is easy. All we do, since we are dividing by 10, we decrease our place value. So that decimal point is going to move right here. 104 dimes, that is going to equal $10.40. I'm getting all my numbers and values lined up so that I can add them easily at the end. All right, let's go into nickels. And with nickels, we're gonna do the same thing that we did with quarters. We are going to multiply 208 times 5/10. She has 208 nickels, and each nickel is worth 5 cents. So 208 is already at a friendly place value, but 500ths is not. So I want to move that 1, 2 place values. That's going to be the same as 100 multiplied by 100. So now we are doing 208 times 5. You can do an array. You can do standard algorithm. I'm going to do standard algorithm just so we get practice, because y'all know how to do an array. 5 times 8, that equals 40. I'm going to put the 0 here and the 4 in the added. 5 times 0 equals 0 plus 4, 4. 5 times 2 equals 10. I get 1,040. Am I done? I am not, because I am multiplied by 100. Now I have to divide by 100. That decimal point, I'm going to go 1, 2. And now I have $10.40. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I knew it was going to be 10.40, and let me tell you why. Because look at here. 104 is half of nickels. We have twice as many nickels as we do dimes, but dimes are worth twice as much as nickels. So I knew that they were going to equal out to the same value. All right, pennies. This one's easy, just like dimes. They have 576 pennies. So let's go over here. It's not going to take too much time. 576 pennies. So we could divide that by 100, or we could do 576 multiplied by, because that's how much 1 penny is worth. Either way, we are moving that decimal point, 576. We are decreasing our place value 2 places, 1, 2. So we have $5.76. So let's add all those up. Where am I going to do that at? Oh, my bad. So if I add all these up, our value is going to be, so if I add all these up, in the missing spaces, I'm going to put a 0 because we're just revealing it. So 5 plus 6. Our total amount is $48.31. Hey, not bad. Taking Uber home tonight. All right, y'all. Great job. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see our work. And then I'll come back in. Great job today, y'all. Practice our multiplying decimals, and money is a great way to do it.